Hello everybody. It is the 9th day of March 2018 and I'm on a property that I discovered a while back. There is a rock fence going through here. Appears to corner right up in there and go back this way. There were no daffodils up yet when I was here before, but I still recognize this as an old house site. I spotted the huge tree that it had the limbs cut low, looks like, maybe. And right next to it, a deep hole. Now, on a lot of these old house sites, it's not uncommon for people to tear the house down and throw in a cellar or a well. All the trash and stuff that came out of it. I don't know if there's anything in here. After the rain, I see that it's been wet down in here, like it's soaked into the ground pretty quick. So I'm not real comfortable with stepping off in here without at least testing it first to see if maybe I would sink in. There is a mound around this hole, like a crater, which indicates that it was dug out. It's not just a sinkhole. And that rock went straight on down. So I am not getting down in there. I'm going to metal detect this site and see if I can find anything. I'll keep you posted. Okay, I've started my metal detecting. Nothing exciting yet to report. There's the hole. There's the tree for placement reference. There are rows of rocks laid out for the foundation of this house. Actually, it goes quite a ways up through here. I want to say that tree there is probably growing where the house used to be. But I find in a lot of stuff, I found the bottom of an old blue glass jar, thick enough that I think I could probably flint knap me an arrowhead out of it. Maybe a nice one. But to give you an idea on some of the artifacts, this is part of an old bedstead. And it may not be that old of a bedstead. But here is some of the plates and stuff that I'm finding. Really neat patterns on it. Of course, I'm not an expert on old pottery by any means. If it's actual china, it's a very detailed pattern on it to be old. Here's another neat find. This appears to be a latch from an old trunk or a piece of old luggage. Here's the keyhole. This is the hinge right here. Of course, this is where they had it mounted. And looks like they used some form of a rivet to put it in place. It might help date it. Okay, I've established where the road is that goes past the house. As you can see, the daffodils in here, straight back behind those are the big tree, and the hole is kind of in line, the old well hole. Anyway, through here and where I'm standing, and going back on up here in between the trees is the old roadway. Now I followed the roadway down the hill from the parking area, but I had not figured out where it went once we hit the flatlands down here in the creek bed. I'm finding a lot of junk today, things that I'm not sure what are, not really anything that I need to post. Okay, so I've identified the rock fence that would have been, I believe, in front of the property. Right up in here is where the road came down into the creek bed that I followed down from the top of the hill. I lost track of where the road went, but here, I believe this to be the corner of the property. This is the end of the rock fence. The rock stacks continue all the way up through here in this little tree line. They're actually in a row, pretty good. I'm going to follow it real quick, show everybody where it goes. You can see the way the rocks, they're not stacked probably like they were originally. There's also some barbed wire mixed in with it. So they might have just cleared a garden or a pasture or something of rocks and put the rocks underneath the fence. These rocks really aren't abundant enough to hold animals in place. As you can see, the rocks are still stacked quite abundantly. I'm on the inside of what would have been the perimeter at this point. The road comes through here and kind of swings out from it. And I've lost track of it from that point again. But here are the daffodils. There's the hole. And there's the big tree. The first rock fence I found, you can actually see it from here. It goes along the back side of the property. And it appears that they threw their garbage up on the hill on the back side. That would have been their dump. I am still metal detecting. I'm still looking. Okay, the house side is over there. I've gone out a little bit farther over to the major creek bed, and on my way over I spotted something different. Looks like somebody hung something in this little stub here, although you can't tell for sure what it is. I'm going to say it was a skull of a buck that somebody shot, because it's been cut out here the way they used to do to hang their antlers on the wall. Looks like a pretty old piece, but judging from the way they put it on here, I don't think it's been on here but a couple of years, maybe at the most. That would have had to have been broke off before they stuck it on here. Okay, here's a tack ring. Came off maybe a bridle or a saddle or something. I have found a spoon. I found the ring from a car headlight on the other side of this hole. I'm starting to think that they did try to throw everything into this hole. Maybe they dug a hole and buried a bunch of stuff. It's kind of puzzling with the rocks for the foundation to the house or barn or whatever it was still being intact. Could have been the house was out here in front of the barn, and that's the barn I'm seeing back there. I don't know. Here's a little bit of an exciting find. This is the framework from an old single tree. My grandpa used one of these when he hooked up the old Jenny to plow the garden. I'm pretty sure they would have been used on pulling a buggy too. Down here, more than likely, it was agricultural use. But I think I'm going to keep this one. Okay, everybody. I appear to have found my first ever harmonica reed. I've never found one before. I've had a couple harmonicas growing up. This is bigger than any of the harmonicas I've ever had, but it might be comparable to an old G harmonica my dad used to have. You could play from either side. I think it was G and D. Anyway, I'm going to research this one. Hey, we have a bottle opener. Okay, everybody, I've just made a very interesting surface find here. Earlier I found the latch for what I believe to be an old trunk, like a camelback trunk. This would have been an alignment point. A decorative corner piece, probably of an old trunk of some kind. Over here we have a hinge and another corner. There's an awful lot for me to try to carry out, no more than it is, so I'm probably not going to carry this, but I remember where it is if I ever want to come back and get it later. In the same area, this is the dump behind the house that I'm going through right now. There is a glass lid from something. As you can tell, it's very decorative. It's got a lot of scroll work on it. Old blue glass, as far as the eye can see. This might have been an old wash pan, and it might have been just a granite bowl that they used to cook in. It's hard to say. Here we have the handle from an old skillet or a stewer. I'm going to say that's probably part of a box spring setup, maybe for a couch, or box springs for a bed even. Here we have some genuine pink depression glass. Of course, everything up here is broken. There's nothing up here intact. Probably wouldn't have been thrown up here if it was intact. Some frosted glass there. It's flat pane type glass, maybe out of a cabinet or something. Have another old granite bowl of some kind. It's a little bit smaller, but it's got the granite texture on it, granite finish. There is a lot of stuff that has been thrown out up here. course, you can see the rock fence here. This is at the back of the property at the base of the hill. Some old cans. I've not seen an indication that there was ever an electric line or telephone line in this area. So if there was, it was pulled out way back beforehand. Oh wow. An old crosscut saw blade that's been broken. It's fairly thick. That would make some really nice knife blade. High carbon steel it should be. Not quite sure what that is. It's got different layers in it. It appears to be aluminum. Maybe one of those old... Yeah, I do too. I wonder if I can get it to pop out. This is... Hang on just a moment. Got it to pop out just a little bit. This is a drinking glass that's foldable. You slide the rings out. It'll be probably 3.5 to 4 inches tall, and the rings seal themselves. I remember seeing one of these when I was a little kid. Here we have another piece of, that looks like automotive window glass there. It's got the distinctive curve to it. It's thicker than normal window pane glass. Doesn't appear to have any writing on it. Might have been out of an old Model A, Model T Ford or something along that era. An old bottle, probably a perfume bottle. No numbers on the bottom. It does have a thread to the top. These old dumps are fun to go through. That looks like part of an old galvanized bucket. Here is where the handle would have swung from. Here's some more of it here. Just taken over by tree roots. Could have been a wash tub as big as this is. That thing is huge. I'm going to say it's probably a wash tub or a foot tub, just a little bit larger. A piece of barbed wire. Now this is definitely a galvanized bucket. Here's the handle mounts, like I mentioned in that last piece. One for each side. Of course the handle's gone now. Probably rusted away a long time ago. Probably where it swiveled on those eyelets, they wore the galvanized coating off of them quite quickly that way. And that's where they rusted the first. Okay, following the road that went past house number 1 for the day, and I have found proof of hogs. Whereas that's arguable whether or not this is a hog wallow. The mud on the saplings around here indicate that it is definitely a hog wallow. That one there goes up close to 3 feet high up on the sapling, and I think I figured out why they are wallowing where they're wallowing. Here's some more rooting, maybe some wallow. Here's some more mud on the tree, but here is what's left of an old salt block that somebody probably put out to attract deer. A little salt lick. And I saw these little foundations here, and I thought maybe this was a lookout tower. These things are not near far apart for a lookout tower to go up. It would have been a narrow lookout tower. And I notice over this way, there are more, and they're bigger. These would have made a good lookout tower. And I would say they are far enough apart from the lookout towers I've seen. There's one back in there. And then one right there. There's also a landing pad for the stairs to come down right here. standing on it. Hey everybody, I've decided on a design for the knife blade out of the saw blade. I decided to keep the saw blade as I found it, with the exception that I sharpened the end edge where it had broke. I sharpened the back edge, made it kind of made it into a machete basically. I've not sharpened the teeth yet. I aim to sharpen the teeth sooner or later. As for a hunting knife, it's got an awful lot of flex. I don't think it would be that effective as a hunting knife. If it was a little thinner, it would have made a decent fillet knife to fillet fish. I basically just put a makeshift handle on it using the 2 holes that were originally in the saw blade itself. And I think it's an awesome looking knife. It looks like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, Mad Max or Cyborg by Jean-Claude Van Damme, something like that. I'm looking forward to seeing how well it cuts. As you can see, the blade of the knife is about 3 inches from the ground at normal carry. A knife that looks like this, with an awesome look like this, really needs a name, and I haven't picked out a name for it yet. I'm having trouble deciding on a name. So if anyone out there would like to leave a possible name for this knife in the comments, please do so. And remember, I'm new to YouTube. I do like to hear a little feedback, anything that I could do better on my videos, anything that you would like to see on my videos. Also, a like and a subscribe would help a bunch. It's not that sharp as a machete. I'm really not too worried about it. I didn't put it together to use, I put it together for looks. I am still going to put a shinier edge on it, make it look a little bit better. Just remember everyone, life is an adventure. You can find an adventure every day. Don't miss out.